Happy Ever After by Vaneer. Chapter 2. Throughout the spring, Ponyville had become a hub of hustle and bustle for out-of-towners on their way to or from Canterlot. Despite the short walk to the capital, ponies came from miles around to spend the night in Ponyville. As the spring faded to summer, the visitors from out of town began to wane, and Ponyville became the sleepy village it had always been. The business owners of Ponyville were sad to see the ponies and their bits go, but they were thankful that the work had returned to a normal pace. It was about a week after every pony had left that the mail orders began to roll in to fill the registers of Ponyville with business. Flush with bits, Bonbon opted to expand her candy shop by adding a new wrapping machine. In doing so, she found that she could cut her finish time by a quarter. By lowering her prices, she made even more by selling sweets at a discount rather than she had at full price. Sure, she was busier than ever, and maybe she had overextended herself a hair, but if her math was right, it would be all worth it. Lyra, too, had become unusually busy in the past few months, with demands for her performances coming from all over Equestria. While she was happy to be performing in so many places and in front of so many ponies, she was forced to leave Bonbon behind to travel off to far-off places. After all, there was a candy shop to run and a home to maintain. These past few months had left them strangers passing in the night, much like a tree delayed, and made the time they spent together that much later. "Miss Bonbon?" called a lispy voice from the kitchen. Bonbon snapped her thoughts and turned to face the curly-haired filly. "Your taffy is burning." "That's a silly twist," said Bonbon. "I took the taffy off the stove an hour ago, and—" She looked above the list to see that her taffy puller vibrated with an alarming grind. The taffy itself was engulfed in flames, scorching the metal frame of the machine. Bonbon dashed to grab the fire extinguisher off the wall and turned the canister over a few times in her hose before pulling the pin. The crackle of freezing taffy and the hiss of frigid grass drowned the shrieking of smoke detector in the background. Bonbon stared at the machine in disbelief. Her perfect safety record lay ruined by a faulty puller, now an entire state of work laid before the frozen mess. She slammed the fire extinguisher to the ground and let loose a torrent of profanity. "What does horse-pulsing son of a nag mean, Mr. Bonbon?" Bonbon bit her tongue and put a hoof to her mouth. She had forgotten Twist was still standing there. She turned to her sister with a weak smile. "Nothing, dear," said Bonbon. "Have some sweets and go home. But don't tell your mother I said that." Twist only shrugged and helped herself to some licorice strips on her way out the door. Bonbon wiped a bead of sweat from her brow and stared at the puller in disbelief. There was no way for it to feel like that, and she hadn't done anything different from the last time she had used it. The puller had been worked on the other day, and now it was completely destroyed. She kicked the machine with another burst of obscenities. This nightmare, combined with the expenses of her minor expansion, meant even less for the wedding fund. The joint account was already dangerously low on bits because Lyra hadn't gotten paid in 2 months, and they had been living day to day on the candy shop's profits. Bonbon only hoped that he had enough to cover their mortgage until Lyra got paid. And then Bonbon started screaming at Mom and Dad and scared them halfway across the Carolot. She said, "Lyra." "Oh, my word," said Caesar. "Your little candy maker is quite a fire." "That's why I love her," said Lyra. "I know you don't care for her because she's a commoner, but she makes me happy." "That's all that really matters." "I've already gotten quite a few nasty letters from some of the upper castes about the whole thing. One of them even tried to set me up on a date with Blue Blood." She shook her head. "I'm really kind of surprised you of all ponies are up in arms about the whole commoner thing." Of course, as we all know, Fancy Prance is probably behind this wedding 100%. Especially considering the fact that he married a commoner himself. How is Lady Flora doing, anyway? Caesar only chuckled. "Oh, I got over that a long time ago," said Caesar. "It really doesn't matter to me now. Those aristocratic twits are just hanging on to the last vestiges of power before they're swept away into the dustbin of history. At least the younger generation has a choice of who they spend their lives with. Even if your Bonbon is a commoner and a mayor, whatever you find love is fine with me." "You sure you don't want an invitation?" asked Lyra. "We'd be honored to have you there." "Oh, I'm afraid I really can't," said Caesar. "I'm off as an envoy to the Griffin lands for the next few months." He put a hoof to his head and let out a dramatic sigh, looked towards the ceiling. "Oh." "Such are the trappings of the upper echelons of nobility, my dear Lyra. Be glad you're not part of them." He flashed a winning smile and stood to the grey earth pony that had come to join him. My lord," said the pony, "Princess Celestia requests your presence at the castle this evening." Oh, very good, said Caesar. Would you care to join me, Lyra? I'm sure Princess Celestia would be more than happy to meet a musician of your caliber. I appreciate the offer, said Lyra, but a friend of mine is waiting for me just a couple of blocks away from the Palace Saddle Cafe. Very well, then, said Caesar. I'll be looking into making sure you get paid properly. I haven't had any idea why your checks have been getting delayed, and with the wedding, I'm sure you're going to need every last bit. The two nobles watched through the majestic hall of Caesar's manor among the staring eyes of 100 pony portraits. Lyra felt as if they were all watching her, and judging her with their painted stares. She turned away from their unmoving gaze, and tried to ignore them as they approached the foyer. Oh, no matter what, don't let the nobles get you down, said Caesar. Look at these portraits. They're all miserable because they had arranged marriages to the ponies that they hated. What you have is true love, and that is a miracle. Anyone who tries to tell you otherwise is an unhappy fool with an axe to grind. Lyra watched for Caesar's estate, happier than she had been in weeks. The pep talk from this had left her with a clear head and a warm smile. Of all the ponies she could have asked for advice with dealing nobility, Caesar was the one she knew would give her the straightest answers. After a short walk, Lyra came to a small cafe along the streets of Canterlot. Soups and sandwiches floated in the air as unicorns snacked on their midday meals. A gray earth pony sat near the kitchen, trying to grab the attention of any waiter, but to no avail. They simply walked by her, the platters of sandwiches flowing on the trays before them. Lyra trotted over to the pony and stood by her table. Hi, Tavi. Oh, thank Celestia you're here, said Octavia. I've been waiting for half an hour, and I haven't even seen a waiter so much as slow down. She shook her head at a passing waiter. I've got money too, you ducks! My bits spend the same as everybody else! You just don't know how to flag someone in this joint, said Lyra. Allow me. Lyra stuck her hoof out from beneath the table to catch the leg of a passing waiter. The waiter flailed, trying to keep his balance. The tray wobbled in the air and clattered to the mayor's table. Octavia raised a brow at Lyra, who had already started eating. What? Asked Lyra with a mouthful of sandwich. It's legit! She turned to the waiter and started to pick herself off the ground. 2 glasses of tea for us. Thanks. She turned back to Octavia. Anyway, I actually here to give you your invitation. Lyra floated a heart-shaped piece of dark chocolate from her bag. The wrapper was cleverly embossed with hearts and underneath, imprinted on the candy, was the date of the wedding and all the relevant information that a pony would need to attend. Octavia looked at the invitation. You're kidding me, asked Octavia. It's an adorable idea, but how am I not supposed to eat this? Well, the wrapper's also an invitation, said Lyra, so unless you eat that too. You two are the most nauseating, adorable couple in Equestria, said Octavia. Well, next to cupcake and carrot cake. Why can't I meet a nice young stallion who will sweep me off my feet and shower me with candy? Because the ratio of mares to stallions is something like 8 to 1, said Lyra. Don't worry, Tavi. Your soulmate is out there. Maybe if you got out of the house more often, you'd find him. Or her. Lyra fixed a slight grin. Maybe you'll meet somebody at the wedding. After you're done performing, of course. At that very moment, a white unicorn with electric blue hair walked by the room. You want my ensemble to perform at your wedding? Asked Octavia. I'm so honored that you considered us. I just figured you'd do it on the cheap, said Lyra. Octavia answered by throwing a roll at her friend. So, that's a yes? Of course, said Octavia. I know you've been having motherly troubles recently, so consider it a wedding gift. Lyra looked down at her sandwich and embarrassed flush. I didn't think anybody knew about that, she said. We all know about it, said Octavia. I know you got stiffed for your last 6 concerts. That's got every pony worried they're not going to get paid either. Octavia looked over her shoulder and back to Lyra. If you need money. I can't borrow anything from you, said Lyra. That's the fastest way to lose a friend. Forever! Shouted Pinkie Pie. Lyra nearly flipped backward over her cushion at the sudden appearance of her wedding planner. She sat wheezing on the floor as Pinkie's thousand-watt smile beamed down upon her like a spotlight of maniacal hope. Where did you come from? Asked Octavia. Well, when the mommy pony and the daddy pony love each other very much, Pinkie started. Octavia only sighed as he helped Lyra back to her feet. I was making a delivery in Canterlot, and then I was going to go back to some of the wedding stuff here to get more ideas, and then I saw you two in your window, and... I can't believe she hired you, said Octavia. Well, duh, said Pinkie. She tossed Octavia's ebony mane. I'm the best at parties. Why wouldn't she hire me? You could start by not scaring the living daylights out of me, muttered Lyra. I was getting ready to head back to Ponyville. Would you care to walk with me? That sounds like super fun, Pinkie said. I can tell you all the great ideas I've been having about your wedding. You should invite more people. Why not everybody here? She stood on her back hooves and bellowed to the restaurant. Hey, everybody! Who wants to come to a wedding? Lyra grabbed Pinkie by the scruff of her neck and forced her into a nearby cushion. Pinkie opened her mouth to protest, but was met with a hoofful of bread. Despite the mouthful of bread, she continued to try to expound on the virtues of attending the biggest wedding in Ponyville history. I'm sure all the classy ponies wouldn't want anything to do with a little old Ponyville wedding, said Lyra. So, let's not bother them and head home, shall we? The message seemed to drown out Pinkie Pie as the crowd stared at the two ponies. She nodded and swallowed her bread. I'll see you later, Tavi. Say goodbye, Pinkie Pie. Goodbye, Pinkie Pie! That's funny, said Pokey. The reservations had arrived in the mail earlier that day. Folded to the schedule book he kept on the back wall. Pokey scanned between the two. He grumbled a bit and tossed the papers aside. A knock on the back door distracted him from the book. The door revealed Carrot Top, all smiles and curls, wheeling a crate full of carrots. Pokey folded the reservations to her face. Does this say what I think it does? Asked Pokey. Carrot Top looked at the slips of paper for a moment, then over them at Pokey. You really should learn to read better one of these days, said Octavia. But it appears that you're overbooked yourself for the third weekend of August. According to these reservations, you got 6 catering contacts for that day, not including Lyra's wedding. Look at these numbers, said Pokey. They're offering me triple what I normally charge. The reservations floated back down to the scheduling book. I'd be stubbing my own hoof if I turned down one of these for Lyra's wedding. And it's not as she actually booked me for that day. I mean, she hasn't put a deposit down, and she did say she might have to make payments. He looked over his books again. Carrot Top, what should I do? Seriously? Asked Carrot Top. You can't be considering cancelling on their wedding. Think of how disappointed Lyra would be if her favorite chef isn't there with all of her favorite dishes. Think about how disappointed she'd be if you're not there to see her and Bonbon get married. There's no way you should let a little thing like money get in the way of a friendship. Pokey huffed the ground with a guilty cough. Well, that's just it. I kind of need the money. Not her again, growled Carrot Top. You've got to stop loaning Trixie money. I know she's your sister-in-law, but she never pays you back. Heck, even when she was in town a couple of weeks ago, what did she do? She ate at your restaurant, parked her wagon on your lawn, then left the remains of it for you to clean up. Carrot Top hefted the tray of carrots onto her back. Look, I've got a deadbeat uncle who does the same thing. Breezes into town, eats all my food, and leaves a mess for me to clean up. I mean, Derpy does that already. It's not like she needs the help. She threw open the walk-in fridge to find a gray Pegasus standing behind the door. With a shriek, the crate crashed from Carrot Top's back, spilling carrots all over the floor. Carrot Top pinned herself to a wall, clutching her chest. Derpy's salad bags overflowed with vegetables and sauce containers. She pointed to the empty shelving. I empty your fridge, she said. Why in the name of Equestria is Derpy in your refrigerator? She's delivering leftovers to the school, said Pokey. Thanks, Derpy. Be sure to take some muffins for yourself and Pinkie. The carrots lowered from the floor into the sink with a wave of Pokey's horn. Look, Trixie is family, continued Pokey. And where I come from, you don't abandon family. Carrot Top only moaned in aggravation. Talking to you is like pounding your head into a wall, said Carrot Top. You are the most bull-headed stallion I've ever met. You never give up anything, even if it's a lost cause. Your sister, your job, your various failed relationships. Did you need something else, or are you just going to berate me for my life choices? Asked Pokey. Carrot Top paused a moment. Actually, there was something else, said Carrot Top. Pinkie wanted us all to meet in the evening around 11 to discuss plans for the wedding. Something about reservations. Barry will bring the wine, if you'll be so kind as to bring snacks. Got it. Anything else? Carrot looked around for a moment. She started to say something, but she stopped herself, shook her head, and held a hook to her hips. I'll tell you later, she mumbled. Remember, 11 o'clock, Sugar Cube Corner. As Carrot Top's cart rolled away from Balloon's Cafe, she paused to glance inside the magazine that was Carousel Boutique. Inside, Rarity hummed to herself. while Sleepybell scribbled something on a scroll. Surrounding his sister were a pile of orders and finished garments that had poured over her the past few weeks. The last of the dresses floated to its box. "I'm done," said Rarity. A handkerchief floated to Dom, glistening a sweat from her brow. "Are you finished with those numbers, Sleepybell?" "Almost," said Sleepybell. She tapped a pencil against her chin for a moment before turning back to her sister. "I give up! What's that four-letter word for a baby horse?" The handkerchief fell to the ground. Rarity looked down at the scroll her sister was writing on. The crossword puzzle was mostly filled in, though most of the simpler words had been left blank. Rarity simply shook her head and trotted to her register. Never mind, then," said Rarity. She looked over a few receipts as they floated from the register. "That was the last of the paid orders. Now I can get started on the unpaid ones. Now, if I could just find Lyra's order." "Oh, Miss Bonbon stopped by later today and asked if she could have some more time to pay for the dresses," said Sleepybell. "She said something about a toffee puller, and she was covered in soot." Rarity stared at her sister for a moment, trying to decide whether or not to believe her. "I'm going to run down to Bonbon's," she said after a moment. "Look after my customers for me, would you?" Sleepybell only nodded as he continued with her crossword. The sun beat down upon the streets of Ponyville, bringing with it the familiar warmth of summer and a glisten to Rarity's mane. She walked through the city center and toward the candy shop. Bonbon wasn't known for being tardy with payments, and although she rarely purchased anything for Carousel Boutique, her good credit had widely been accepted all over town. Rarity rounded the alley to find Bonbon dragging a scorched piece of machinery from her kitchen. The machine flipped over end and end into the alleyway just ahead of Rarity's hooves. Bonbon dented the machine's cover with a swift kick before releasing a verbal tirade that left Rarity's jaw slack in horror. Bonbon reared back to kick the machine again, when she noticed Rarity standing there in shock. Bonbon ducked back to her host. Didn't see you there," said Bonbon with a meek smile. Wonderful afternoon we're having, isn't it?" Rarity's eyes glanced at the battered machine, then back to Bonbon. Can I get you something? Peppermint stick? Lemon drop? I'm afraid fresh trapping is out of the question because of this." She kicked the machine again. "Bucking thing is broken." Rarity took a step back from the mare. Bonbon was known for her sweet nature but relatively short fuse, and it appeared that whatever that thing was that she was kicking had set her off. Bonbon's mane, normally curled and elegant despite her long hours in the kitchen, now resembled a pink and indigo rat's nest of tangles and taffy. "I can see that this is a good time," said Rarity. "I'll just come back." No, please come in," said Bonbon. "Let me get you some coffee and a sweet. My coffee maker still works." She glared into the kitchen, twincing. "At least, it had better be working!" The gurgle of brewing coffee was the only healthy sound coming from the kitchen as the two mares entered. Half of the electrical appliances were sparking like some sort of viscous tea utensil coil, while the other half were smoking craters of wires and enamel. A pile of discarded fire extinguishers littered the kitchen floor, as several large wrenches hung from the pipes along the ceiling. With a sinking hoof, Bonbon poured cups of coffee for herself and Rarity. "Had some trouble today," she said. "Seems like everything's gone on the fritz all at once." She giggled with a sort of nervous laughter as she spooned sugar into her mug. "When the stove started shooting flames at the ceiling, I figured it was probably a good idea to call it quits for today." She continued to spoon sugar as she talked. "But other than that, it's been great. I had to basically replace every piece of equipment I have. I'm going to be closed for a few days for repairs, but I can handle it. I'll be fine." Her cup overflowed with sugar. "Just fine. Sugar for your coffee?" None, thank you," said Rarity, eyeing Bonbon's sugar-filled mug. "I came to ask you about your dress, but I think—" Yes," said Bonbon, taking a sip. She looked down at her mug, then back to Rarity with tears filling her eyes. "I'm so sorry, Rarity," sobbed Bonbon. "I'll get you bits as soon as I can. It's just that I sank everything I had into expanding because we were doing so well. Bits were rolling in and I thought we had enough for it all. But Lyra hasn't gotten paid in months despite all the shows she's been putting on. And to top it off, my new equipment's been breaking down on me. And—" her face froze in horror as the realization dawned on her. "Oh, goodness. I can't even afford to book the preacher. Larry, I can't afford to get married. What am I going to do?" "Bonbon, calm yourself," said Rarity. "I'm sure it's not that bad. Even if you can't afford the trappings of a Pinkie planned party, you can still get married at the park by the mare." "That's just it," wailed Bonbon. The park is closed solid for 3 months. Every chapel within 100 miles is full up for weeks. Our wonderful mayor got called away to Canterlot, and no one has seen her in a week. I can't even find a real priest to marry us. Bonbon slept to sit amid sobs of defeat. Rarity searched for the right words, unsure what to say. I'll go talk to some pony. I'll see if they have any ideas. Don't worry about the dresses, dear. We'll work something out. Rarity fled from the smoking remains of Bonbon's kitchen, leaving the confectioner sleeping on the floor. It was late that evening when Pinkie and Lyra arrived back at Ponyville. Along the way, Lyra had shot down nearly every single idea Pinkie had by the wedding. When she questioned Pinkie about the reservations, Pinkie said that she was only working on something super special awesome. It'll make lose your mind. Lyra tried to remind Pinkie of their budget several times, conveniently leaving out any mentions of their current status of finance. Oh, don't be silly, said Pinkie. I know that parties are expensive, but a super-duper party doesn't cost that much more than a regular party. And this is going to be the most super-duper party Ponyville's ever seen! Besides that, I have Little Miss Party Cannon and a party houser. Also, I have backup. Backup? Do-do-do-do-do. Cheese, we need you. Pinkie, what makes you think we want all that? Asked Lyra. We're both pretty simple ponies, Bonbon and I. I know you love your parties, but this is a wedding. It's completely different from your normal affairs. I know, said Pinkie. Don't worry, I got you coming like frosting. Instead, as Lyra tried to process the idiom, they came to a halt in front of Bonbon's bonbons. Ooh, I want some more gummy bears. Pinkie bounced up inside the candy shop through the thin haze of blue smoke that hung in the air. Inside the kitchen, some sounds of fretting and sleeping filtered out into the shop before the clatter of a broom and trying host came to meet her. I'm sorry, said Bonbon. We're close. Oh, hello, Pinkie. What's wrong? Asked Lyra. She looked past Bonbon into the sparkling, smoldering ruins of her kitchen. What in the name of Luna has happened here? I don't know, said Bonbon. 1 minute, everything was fine. The next, everything started self-destructing around me. She looked up at Pinkie. Can I have a minute alone with Lyra? Okie dokie, said Pinkie with a smile. I've got things to do, so I'll come back tomorrow with all sorts of new ideas. As the door slammed behind Pinkie, the stop bell snapped off by the frame and clattered to the ground below. Lyra wrapped her arms around Bonbon and softly kissed her head. Her horn twinkled, closing the shutters and locking the doors with a simple nod. Without a word, the light switches twinkled and the shop went dark. Alone at last, Bonbon fell, sobbing, into Lyra's arms. Pinkie watched as the shop closed behind her. She couldn't help but feel sorry for Bonbon and her destroyed shop. She pulled hooked her chin for a moment before her eyes narrowed. With a snarl, Pinkie galloped across the city towards Sugar Cube Corner. She was moving so fast that she blew past Pokey and Hot Christine closing balloons for the evening.
Ahem. Goodness, said the mustachioed stallion. I wonder where Miss Pie is headed in such a hurry. She's late for a meeting, said Pokey. Anyway, what do you think I should do? Well, if I were the owner of your establishment, I'd only cater to the paying customers, said Haunt. I do realize that Lyra's your friend and a regular customer, but she hasn't even put down a deposit yet. Lyra's not just a friend, said Pokey. She's the first friend that I had in Ponyville after I moved here. When I think back to all the things she's done for me. And what has she done for you, sir? Asked Haunt. Or Bonbon, for that matter. What have they done for you?
Pokey paused to consider. Lyra hadn't really done anything in particular for him. She played for the restaurant on occasion, but she had always been paid for that. She was there for him after his disastrous pursuit of Pinkie Pie and numerous other failed relationships. Pokey shook his head.
Friends don't have to do anything for you, Haunt, said Pokey at last. Just being there's enough, and Lyra's always been there for me. I'm just suggesting that you mind the business side of business, said Haunt. I'd hate to see you go under because you can't keep your occupation and personal life separated. You worry about your job, and I'll worry about mine, said Pokey. He looked over at the wall clock. Look, I got to go. I'm already late. There's a new wine for you in the kitchen next to the calendar. Let me know what you think of it, and we'll please put it on the menu.
Haunt nodded and stared at the restaurant's blinds. Pokey walked back from his darkened restaurant, thinking about what his waiter had told him. Sir, Lyra hadn't paid him, but she was always good for it, as he'd never given any pony a reason to doubt her word. Still, Rumors were starting to surface about Bonbon and Lyra were racing to a fever pitch. It was as somebody had flipped a switch in Ponyville to turn all the mares into cackling hens. Everything about those two seemed tainted recently, even to those who had known them forever. He wasn't sure what to make of it, even with all the rumors and conjecture surrounding the couple. Pokey knew it was truly true love, and that the nagging of a few busybodies would do nothing to stop Ponyville's happiest couple for their big day. As the streets passed beneath his hooves, Pokey looked up to the sky to see the moon rising up from Sugar Cube Corner. The silhouette of a few ponies hung in the window as some pony, probably Pinkie, set the table in her apartment. It was a few minutes before Pokey found his way upstairs to a motley assembly of Pinkie's closest party ponies. Pinkie was inexplicably wearing reading glasses. "Gentlecoats," she said, "we must stop the Batman." The sea of confused expressions prompted Pinkie to look down at her nose again. With a nervous giggle, she slipped off the top page of her notes and passed it to Gummy. The alligator scuttled away to the closet, and the clatter of a flying cabinet could be heard as he turned to the table. "We're here to talk about Lyra and Bonbon's wedding," said Pinkie. Go back to that Batman thing," said Barry Punch. Pinkie ignored her and continued. "Pokey, if you get the lights, Carrot Top has a short presentation." The apartment lights dimmed, and Carrot Top stood to address the ponies as the projector flicked to life. The slide showed a chart correlating months with the Chrissy profits. She cleared her throat before starting to read the notes. 1 cup flour, 2 eggs, 2 thirds. Carrot Top looked at the card again, paused, and settled into the rear of his deck. "Around the time that Lyra and Bonbon got engaged," Carrot Top continued, "business in Ponyville started booming. Bids were coming in from everywhere, and every baker, florist, farmer, and shop owner seemed to be doing really well for themselves. The biggest change that we've seen thus far is in the service industry. Next slide." The next slide was a picture of Lyra and Bonbon sitting in a rowboat. Lyra was serenading Bonbon with her lyre as the two floated on the lake beneath the sun. "Lyra, as we all know, is nobility, and an engagement to the commoner has provoked ire among the nobles." The projector showed again to reveal a diagram of Equestria's political system. "The nobility, while not having any real power anymore, still control a great deal of Equestria's wealth. They come from old money, and use that money as influence in events all over Equestria." Carrot Top turned away from the slide to face these simple ponies. "Rarity, if you will." "I'm sure Pokey will tell you," said Rarity. "Business for all of us has been absolutely astounding. Ponies from all over Equestria have been coming over to our little town to do business with us. I only wish I could say it was our style and class at bottom here, but unfortunately I have reason to expect that it was something else entirely." The projector started again to reveal a picture of Pokey laying on a bed of petals with a rose crushed in his teeth. It started again to reveal another shot. "Whoa, wait," said Barry. "Go back one. That was way more interesting." "Where the hell did you get that picture?" demanded Pokey. "Remember who your friends are, ponies," said Carrot Tops. "Keep in mind that sometimes what seems like a blessing can actually be a curse. It's very convenient that the whole town's been booming for the past couple of weeks. Everyone's paying full price, and it seems like a lot of goods are headed out of town. I suspect that the nobility is trying to get us to forget about our friends with the promise of money. I know Lyra hasn't paid any of you yet," continued Carrot Tops. "From what Randy has told us, Lyra hasn't gotten paid in 3 weeks, and that there's been some sort of huge catastrophe at Bonbon's." "I'm sorry, what?" asked Pokey. "What do you mean?" "All her equipment was broken," said Pinkie. "I saw all her mixers and pullers and candy makers when I dropped off Lyra. They were all ruined." "That's odd," said Carrot Top. "She just had maintenance for Canterlot come over the other day after she—" The table went quiet as the word came to them. "Sabotage!" said Pokey. "It all makes sense now," said Barry Punch. "Lyra's getting cheated out of those paychecks while they drain Bonbon's finances. They keep all of you distracted with bits, so when it comes time for those two to pay, they can't!" Barry Punch punched one hook to another. "That's pretty insidious. Now I want to find someone to bite for this." "What I don't understand is how they would even know about such a thing," said Rarity. "Lyra is the only nobility in town, and I'm certain our mayor wouldn't be a toady for some gnome, unless some pony like Twilight Sparkle was behind this. I can't imagine she would be. I haven't had the slightest idea who could be feeding the nobility information." "That's not the most important thing either," said Pinkie. "The important part is they're not going to be able to get married if they can't afford their wedding." As the group talked about the raising money for the couple, Rarity looked out the window into Ponyville. She spied Lyra and Bonbon in the streets, walking slowly towards Sugar Cube Corner. Rarity turned away from the window to find Pinkie drawing an elaborate scheme on the flip chart. And then we all place bets on Rainbow Dash to win, and... Hold it. I have to ask, what was the rest of that plan? I am really curious what plan involves putting bets on Rainbow Dash to win. Because that sounds like an awesome story to go along with this story. They were interrupted by a loud knock at the door. The group turned to stare as it swung wide open, revealing the tear-stained faces of Lyra and Bonbon. Pinkie told me you were meeting here, said Lyra in a near whisper, and I want to thank all of you for what you've done for us already. She swallowed hard as he forced the next sentence, but I don't think we're going to get married anytime soon. What? Asked Pinkie. Oh no, no. You can't not get married. This should be the easiest thing you've ever done. With everything that's happened in the past few days, we just can't afford any of you. We have so little at the moment, and we wouldn't be even able to pay the mayor to marry us at City Hall. She wiped a tear. So, maybe next year, when things are better. You must be joking, said Rarity. As if I'd let such a thing like money get in the way of a love like yours. I'll do your dresses for free. Consider them a wedding gift. You go, Rarity! Pinkie nodded in agreement.
Lyra, you and Bonbon are the most perfect couple I've ever seen. Love like yours come along once in a lifetime. And if you think we're gonna let you stay apart for one day longer than you need to, then you've got another thing coming.
Pinkie stood from the table.
Not only will I carry for your wedding, but I'll pay for the feast too.
I'll handle the flowers, said Carrot Top.
I'll handle the booze.
Yep. Barry hiccuped.
My private sassy, even.
And I'll make the cake, said Pinkie Pie. Plus, I still got you that surprise.
We couldn't possibly ask you for that, said Bonbon. Rarity, your dresses alone are worth... Not another word, said Rarity. I won't take no for an answer, nor will either any of us. The ponies nodded in agreement. Even as the lions circle, we will take care of you. What do you mean, lions?
How did you guess the circus was a surprise? Asked Pinkie. Shoot, now I'm going to have to come up with something else.
Don't worry about it, said Carrot Top. The most important thing is that you two get married in spite of it all. Lyra could only smile as tears formed in her eyes. We couldn't ask for better friends than you, she said. I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything, said Rarity. We'll make sure that you two get your happy ever after. Roll credits. It was 2 weeks after Pinkie's wedding when the Ponyville Chamber of Commerce had its monthly gathering. Every small business owner in town was in attendance to discuss the recent boom in Ponyville's economy, and the rumor was that things were only to get better as the Grand Galloping Gala drew near. Pinkie and Rarity stood discussing some of the aspects of the wedding as the mayor came out to greet her citizens. Welcome back, Mayor Bear. Been long since the last fic? Oh, no, not at all. Been having fun? Oh, yes. Business owners of Ponyville, I want to congratulate all of you on a fantastic second quarter, she said. Increased traffic through town has contributed to the resounding success of all our businesses in the past few months. The increased traffic is coming from none other than the nobles who have decided our quaint village is the perfect place to rest. The others responded with a polite stomping and clomping of hooves. Joining us today from Canterlot to discuss the recent business is the Duke of Everfree Providence, Duke Averando. A blue earth pony stallion with a tightly curled orange mane took the stage, and to blind applause of Ponyville's business owners, he nodded to the mayor, then to the crowd.
Ho 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 ho! My fellow business ponies, he began, on behalf of the nobility, I'd like to express my gratitude for the fantastic accommodations and charming atmosphere that your town has to offer. Because of your delightful boutiques and quaint restaurants, Ponyville has earned a place in the hearts of the nobility as somewhere they can go to be pampered and associated for their hard work.
He paused and allowed for more polite stomping and clomping of hooves.
However, I must caution you that your nobility tends to be fickle in your favors. While we enjoy the pleasantries of your city, we must caution you that any business that provokes one noble will inevitably find themselves being blacklisted by the rest.
A murmur of confusion ran through the crowd as ponies tried to figure out what he was hinting at.
Now, I'm sure that won't happen to any of your fine establishments, so long as you remember that the nobility has its own traditions and formalities to uphold. Our long lines of heritage exist as an example of good grace and respectability to the common pony everywhere. I, for one, am glad that Ponyville has become such a wonderful place to spend my time and bits. I look forward to telling every noble to come and enjoy all that your wonderful city has to offer.
Despite the confusion, the ponies stopped and clapped politely as Stu, offering on note, and left the stage. Pokey and Rarity turned over their statement in their heads for a moment before turning to each other.
Did he mean what I think he did?
Yes, I heard it too, said Rarity. Any business that carries to Lyra and Papa's wedding is going to be boycotted by the nobility.